Hi guys, welcome to this Sharp 11 Masterclass for the transcription of the week. And this week's transcription was the Michael Brecker together with Joni Mitchell. Also Jacko is on the recording. It's an amazing live rendition of The Dry Cleaner of Des Moines. So let's take a look at what is happening melodically here, because it's melodically really interesting to see what Brecker is doing here. It's on a blues, so let's dive into it. As you can see, I marked quite some spots with different colors, and the meaning of that is to give like every concept. Like you can see, for example, the upper one here, F sharp scale substitution. I will get into that a bit later, but he does a few things that comes back here, and which we can get out of it, like the concept he uses for soloing over this. So I think that's really interesting to look at what he was thinking when he was playing this solo. So let's first have a listen at the solo, the first chorus, and then let me tell you what I think is really interesting here.
I followed him down the strip.
So let's take a closer look here. He starts with a blues scale-ish pattern. Here he keeps on playing blues scale, and there's like a double chromatic approach towards the F7. Okay, that's interesting, but what is really interesting, what is happening here? He goes like from, it's the 6th bar, and he goes really outside here already. So that's really opening it up, making the listeners, their attention really go to what he's playing. And what he does quite consistently, like we will see also later in this solo, he plays this F sharp major scale, kind of always. They creep in between, certainly over the C7s here, so it's a kind of tritone substitute, but mostly without being like with a tritone substitute you would make it dominant 7, and he plays it more major 7, I would say. Like here, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. Okay, the C, it's rather a passing tone, and he lands on the C sharp, and then he continues a very clear statement with the triad here, and also here, also the C is a passing tone, but it's a clear F sharp major to me, so that's really opening it up right from the start. And then if we continue, here he plays really laid back. I try to notate it like it's really comprehensive and you can follow, but he plays it way more laid back than it's on here. So and then here's a classic, it's all kind of classic bebop licks more or less here. And here's actually also a tritone substitute, by the way, but it's really softly played, so I didn't mark this one. So let's have one more listen to like the F sharp part here to see how it's opening up. He starts really inside, bluesy, and then bam. Okay, this one here at this spot, it's quite a bit later than like really on the one. So let's go to the next part. There's a bit of Joni Mitchell singing, and then let's take a look where he starts again. Oh, that was a really good spot. Let's take a bit before here. Okay, here we go.
There, you couldn't lose there. chips breaking off the tape.
Here I have to note that, guys, I always proofread and then I get a lot of mistakes, like mostly notation and stuff out of it, but it sometimes happens that I think I checked it 3 times and then still one silly mistake pops up when I play. When it's just published, I take my saxophone, play through it again, and then I see like this stupid mistake. Here, of course, it's a G sharp. It's really natural because and that's why it's, by the way, yellow, like you can see on top here, like that's mean to be a pattern. Here it's a pattern, like he does this rhythmical pattern also, and then also he modulates in half step, like C, G, and then C sharp, G sharp, of course, then D, A, so that's all chromatic up, and then this is not really the same fourth interval, but it keeps the line going. And then what you can see here again, it's again a F sharp triad here. Okay, I wrote this as a B flat because it came from the C7, and there it's like logically a B flat, but it's a F sharp triad over here. We will see that many more times, this F sharp, this tritone substitution. Then there's a bit more like common bebop, I would say, like really traditional lines, really, except for this one, also really interesting. I didn't mark that one, but that's kind of like a B triad or a B major pattern here with the and here again there's starting on a B, but it's clearly like a F sharp major and not a B major, otherwise this would have been a E. So here's again, and that's over a G7 even, so really hip out there. Then he ends, and that's again like traditional bebop. So he actually combines really traditional stuff, I would say, with really outside stuff, pretty much in a tritone substitution way yet so far. So let's go on to the next part. Again, a bit of Joni Mitchell, and then the real soloist starting. So let's continue, because there are, besides this tritone substitution, many different ways he makes tension and a very cool solo. Let's take the second page here. That's this. You will find this. I will post this for the $11, so you can download it. Maybe print it so you can follow along. It's really interesting. I know this is in B flat, by the way, guys. It's for the tenor. That's the sheet I can follow the easiest. But of course, it's now about concepts. It really doesn't matter if you play a C instrument or a E flat instrument or whatever. I mean, you can just follow the melodic concepts and see what's happening here on the chords. So I think it doesn't matter so much. Oh, we also, of course, need page 1. Let's zoom a bit in. We will first take a look at like the other colors, what they will come soon. So the blue color is a sub 5. Here kind of we could have used it, by the way, but because it's so undetectable almost, I didn't. And here the green is the octatonic, the halftone whole tone scale. So that's also a breaker way of using it a lot. So we will start here. We have a few bars on this page. Let's go on.
On our line, but the cleaner from Des Moines to put a coin in the door of a joint and get 20 for 1. It's just like
I will stop here already because I like this one really a lot, how he starts. And this is interesting because as pianists will know, this is when you voice a C, 7 sharp 9. This is the upper structure of your right hand. Like the bass has like the C. And then this is a common voicing used by pianists to play the sharp 9 to its core without the G, because that's not really a necessary tone if you just use guide tones or shell voicings, and then you also insert a sharp 9 here. So that's what he actually implements to really grab people's attention. So really cool. Okay, let's stop there. Really cool stuff happening here. Also more traditional bebop stuff. And then here is the first real tritone substitution. It's a very clear D flat 7 he plays over this G. So that's really nice. More bebop stuff, like a traditional turnaround with some alterations, of course. And then we come again at a new chorus, and there he is again with the F sharp major. Here he makes it more or less dominant with the E. You also could see it as a E pentatonic, major pentatonic, because he uses it here also to play outside. You could also see it like it's quite linked together. So, but I would say it's the general idea is still the F sharp scale here. Let's listen to that.
Yeah.
So here there are a few things happening. If you look at this line, it starts also really bebop-y, and this is kind of a A flat 7, I would say, with a chromatic passing tone. Okay, and then you see the A flat, really clearly with a C. So yeah, maybe not 7 necessarily, because he doesn't really play a 7, so you don't know, but he kind of goes outside to play like half tone higher than the G7 happening here. And then he goes into, maybe it's actually already a big preparation, this A flat thing, before going back to G, and then he plays this pattern. This is like the key centers, I wrote them above here. The key centers are actually a major third away from each other. So it's an augmented triad if you look at the key centers. And then he plays a clear triad on that, like starts on the 5th of the triad, D, B, G, that's triad of G. Then he repeats one note of that, the 3rd. So it's really 5, 3, 1, 3. That's the pattern. And then again 5, 3, 1, 3 in E flat, and then 5, 3, 1, and then he continues the line in B. So that's a really cool one to check out or to study in more keys. Or here he does it like major thirds from each other, but sometimes he also, yeah, you can also do it in whole tones, you can do it in half tones, like in every interval really. And I know for sure he studied that, because there are some really interesting sheets online from his actual practice room. What he wrote always a kind of summary of what he practiced down, and there are a few that are in the archives. There are many in the archives, but there are a few online which we can see, and I have them here. Like if you look at, wait, let's get that thing. Okay, if you look at that thing here, it's really not so beautiful handwriting, difficult to really see what he was writing there. But here you see also it's a 2 two-triad pattern here. He's doing the G F thing, and then in inversions he goes down, and then you can see what he taking from an E flat Lydian augmented is, and then how he would practice this. So a very cool concept. If you like the sound, of course. If you don't like the sound, don't practice it. But I would practice it. I like the idea a lot. Then you get this messy part where also Jacko's really loud and all over the place. So maybe he's playing here something couldn't hear that was really covered up if he was playing there. And then there's a run more in C major even to go to this high E flat, the sharp 9, this blues note, and then some nice blues licks along the way. And then we continue to the next part. Let me take sheet 3 for that. Let's zoom in a bit, and you can already see what's going to happen here, because we have the beautiful, not so beautiful color, the purple ish color. Let's listen to that. So I think it's happening around here. Okay, so here he is again in the F sharp major, really clearly, and major 7, because you can see here the 7, that's a major 7. So again on top of the C7 here. So really cool, guys. That's one of his main concepts for this solo, really. There he goes a bit outside. I know I wrote in the D minor 7 like in a 2-5-1, but I guess he was thinking more of a G7, and then this makes sense in a flat 13 way, and so on. So, and then he wants to create tension. What else then? Use again like a pattern, a very clear one in F sharp. In F sharp pentatonic. That makes it really like a very clear structure to go outside. And he repeats that here, and then he develops it. The pattern is kind of the same, but this is more in C, chromatic stuff. And then here, the first time we see green, here is a clear half whole tone scale on D, if you would like, or on F. So that's the complete sound here, like a run up, and then he does it approaching like this: E flat, C, A, F sharp with approach notes here. So that's like a diminished arpeggio, if you like to see it that way. I see it that way, at least. And then if we go on, we will listen to this one again, and then we go on, and you can already notice here like a very classic alteration going half tone up minor, and staying really close to that to make that minor B flat here really apparent. That's a quite traditional way of going altered here. And then there's a little spot here which we also will catch in the next play. Again, a bit of the target notes here, okay, with a bit of fillings here, but the target notes are, if you make this a sharp, that's more clear. It's again a F sharp, I would say. So let's have a listen to that. Okay, a little bit before, so we can follow. Okay, I know it goes fast, so take take the music yourself, maybe slow it down and listen to it. Everything goes fast, but believe me, it's in there. So we just gotta jump into this high C, this really nice altissimo for saxophone guys, and we will continue to the next page, which is page 4. Let's zoom in a bit. That's a bit much. Okay. And like you already see here, is happening a lot. I made a little mistake with the marker here. That was supposed to be this purple-ish color, but I accidentally put first on this yellow. But the yellow, if you remember, that's the pattern color, and here is happening a lot with patterns. So we stay, when I press the play button, we stay a bit into the blues, the high blues stuff, and then he goes really outside with this this 3-note pattern, like you can see here, which is kind of linked to a pentatonic one, and then he goes down in whole steps, and then he does what I wrote here, a diminution, which means going smaller, not wider, but just make the interval smaller to a half tone. It has here already this little overlap, so this is a whole tone still, and this is the half tone, going again a half tone. Then he goes back up, like you see here. I pointed towards the beginning of the actual pattern here, because it gets also rhythmically a bit really accelerating. Actually, it's not so clear anymore. I wrote it down in a way that it made the most sense, but he's just actually accelerating in his line. So I think he was not thinking that much here about like real rhythms. He just wanted to speed up his line through space. So let's listen to that.
Blues stuff first. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's listen once again, because that's a really interesting spot.
Yeah.
Really cool. So if you keep this kind of patterns in whole tones, or you can do really anything, as long as you keep a really clear structure. Whole tones is a really clear structure, sorry. Half tones is a really clear structure. You can do actually anything outside. Keep that in mind, guys. It's really an awesome way of presenting an outside idea to your audience. Then we go on, and then you see here also a fast line. Here is a D minor 7 flat 5, so half dim chord down. Didn't do anything with that besides that, not so interesting. Here he goes again. I think he just keeps this G7 longer in mind to create more tension, and then this makes sense, because like I wrote here, G7, and then if you do the tritone substitute, this really fits into that, like 3rd, 5th, 7th, and the 9th here. And then there is a descending octatonic scale on C, and then he goes back into this F sharp major mood here. So there are 3 different actually ways he uses and combines in this fast line to create tension. Let's have a listen to that. Okay, and there this run is okay. You see, it's not exactly pentatonic. There are some chromatic also here. This is C, if you like, C octatonic scale. This fits all. Okay, there are a few notes that don't fit in there, I think, starting from here. Yeah, this F, for example, And also here there is one, I think, like the B, but believe me, it's more like a sound color that he puts here, like Coltrane would do, and he really clearly wanted to have this octatonic sound over here. So let's zoom out a bit. That's here, and then let's listen to that once again. Okay guys, and that was it for what for me at least was really interesting harmonically about this solo. I know we have a lost chorus kind of, I will talk a bit more there later, but this was the melodic content kind of stops here, and it was really cool. So octatonic, that's the green one. You have the tritone substitution, that's the blue one. You have all the amazing patterns, but not too many, because if you would have put in too many patterns, then it starts to get a bit too academic and people wouldn't buy it. You can, of course, play only shapes and real patterns, like then it's almost mathematics, but he just sporadically uses it to create tension. So yeah, on this last page he actually uses all the colors, and of course, like, the main theme of this solo is the F sharp major thing over C, like the octatonic substitution. No, sorry, not the octatonic substitution, but the tritone substitution. So that being said, let's take a look at this last page, where it's more or less going rock style, and he uses a lot of the blues scale and the false fingering, the breaker thing, like we would say, of course. So let's have a listen there. Yes. And that's it, guys. I hope you liked this one. That's my take, at least, on what is happening. I'm learning a lot of this solo. Probably when I play the next jam session, I will use some tritone substitution for like a longer period, because it's a common way to go outside, of course, but he uses it really sometimes like a key center for few bars, and it's taking that solo to a really dramatic point sometimes. So really cool. Guys, let me know if you have thoughts yourself, or if I missed something, or if you liked it. Or maybe if you need a little bit more explanation about a certain line that I didn't cover now, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to answer that as quickly as I can. Also, if you need help, if there's a saxophone player who needs help with these false fingerings to make sense, just let me know. And see you next week. There is Timothy with a new guitar transcription, and then the week after I'm back with a new solo and a new analysis. So see you then.